What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and the housing bubble has popped. The market crash is here, and in this video, we're gonna talk about what that means, how we got here, and what you need to do as soon as possible. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, I've been investing in real estate for the last 9 years. I currently own 162 units of residential real estate, 160 storage units, and a commercial building. Now, if you're like me and you're 31 years old and you've been investing for a little bit, you probably think this is the craziest market you've ever been a part of. Well, maybe, I don't know, 2008 was a little crazy, but I was too young to really care. It's crazy right now. It's crazy because of the Fed, interest rates, pricing, all of this stuff. And in this video, we're gonna break down exactly what's happened and why right now there's a lot of panic in the market and a lot of people saying that the bubble may have popped. The only thing that I ask you to do is remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell, because I guarantee if you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, it means your odds of grabbing that next rental property or house or whatever you want are going to happen. Maybe not. Now, here's what you need to understand. Over the last couple of years, there has been a lot of crazy crap that has happened. The first crazy thing we've had to deal with is interest rates have been extremely low. We're talking about interest rates down around 3% for an extended period of time. And what happens when you have interest rates go extremely low is people start to figure out that they've got a ton of buying power, and they start doing the math and they can say, holy crap, I could buy this house instead of living in this apartment, and my payment could be the same, but I get a house instead of a crappy apartment where rents are continuing to go up. So that's the first big factor, is interest rates have been insane, which have given buyers a lot more buying power. On top of that, and a myriad of other things, this has caused there to be extremely low supply or low inventory. That means there just really aren't very many homes on the market. Any graph that you look at is going to say, especially over the last year, there have just been no homes to purchase, and any homes that do hit the market go extremely fast and way above what anyone thinks they should go for, but everybody's playing the game and paying it because that's the only option. To make matters worse, we have had major issues when it comes to labor. We've also had major issues with supply chain because of all of the other craziness, whether it's war or COVID or whatever else you want to bring up. We've had a big issue when it comes to getting what we need to get to because supply chain has just been total trash lately. And then to top it all off, we have had super high demand. Now, a lot of these things like interest rates have caused this high demand, but I also think we live in a world that's gotten so crazy that a lot of people went and they woke up one morning and they looked in the mirror and they said, man, I could die tomorrow, or the world could fall apart tomorrow, so I might as well die having lived in the house I want to live in rather than the one I'm currently living in. And this has caused a lot of people to say, hey, let's go find ourselves a sick house and let's pull the trigger because interest rates are low and life is short. So we've got this crazy environment where prices are just going through the roof, rents are going through the roof. Everyone is saying, man, when is this going to stop? But also everyone is saying, man, it's not going to stop, so you might as well buy now. There's massive FOMO because it's like, I gotta buy something. There's no inventory. Everybody else is buying everything. And that put us in the situation that we're in, where then the Fed comes in and they say, hey, guess what? We're going to do the first big spike that we've had in the last 3 years, and we've promised there are going to be 6 more just like it. And as you can imagine, I think the Fed expected that throwing these higher interest rates was going to slow things down a bit, because that's the real goal, is to make sure that the market doesn't continue to do what it's been doing because it's kind of out of control. Now, one article I saw claimed that this has been the fastest interest rate increase since 1994. But wait, there's more. Now the Fed comes in and they've actually said that they believe, essentially due to FOMO, that this is a massive bubble and that there's a good chance that it's going to pop. Now, when the Fed comes out and speculates a bubble, everyone loses their mind because it's kind of scary to hear the Fed come and say, we're living in a bubble. It's also borderline insulting considering that they said inflation would be transitory. So I'm also hoping that this bubble is transitory. I'm hoping that this fear is transitory. I'm hoping that these interest rates are transitory, even though I'm worried none of them will be. Now, I'm joking around with some of this, but I'm also not. By them going and doing this, the reality is a lot of markets have already seen a slight correction where people are dropping the prices on their homes because it's scary when they come and say, hey, one, this is a bubble. Interest rates are about to go through the roof. And a lot of people don't want to get stuck in their home if interest rates continue to go up and nobody buys their home. Now, hearing all this is where my brain went. However, I think we all need to take a deep breath and zoom out a little bit, because here is the reality. Are interest rates going crazy? Yes, they are, and we're going to talk about that. But there still isn't a whole lot of supply. There's just not a lot of property on the market. A lot of people want to place money in real estate because none of this is taking away the fact that inflation is real and it's going to continue. The effects of a lot of the government's decisions are going to continue to cause inflation, and I believe a lot more decisions are going to continue to be made that are also going to cause inflation. Not to mention the fact that there's all kinds of crazy stuff with war and a myriad of other things where inflation is not going to completely go away just because interest rates have gone up. Another thing you need to keep in mind is just because there's a bubble doesn't mean that the bubble has gotten as big as it could get. If you look back on a lot of the graphs referring to 2008, there were lots of things like this as that bubble was building, and I don't believe we have a lot of things in our market that are going to cause a pop like we did back in 2008. And that's another thing that you've got to take into consideration. In a lot of ways, banks have really buttoned things down, and a lot of people right now are locked in with incredible interest rates where they're going to continue to be able to make those payments. Now, I don't know about the people right now that are aggressively buying where they're way overpaying for properties and having substantially higher interest rates, but overall, I just don't see a massive bubble pop. So here are my thoughts. Right now, there is definitely fear in the market because of rising interest rates and what the Fed has said. However, there still isn't a lot of inventory. So in my mind, it means don't go and buy stupid deals because you feel like you're missing out or you need to go and purchase real estate to place money, because it's not worth getting into a stupid deal, because who knows? Could the bubble pop? Maybe. And so for me, I did a video a couple weeks ago where I was really hyping up how desperate I am to find a deal. And that's true. I want to place money and it makes sense to place money, and I'm going to continue to purchase real estate. However, I'm not going to lose my head and place money with bad interest rates and a bad deal. So if you're looking for a deal right now, it's extremely important that you don't lose your head, because you can still buy real estate all throughout this process. You just have to make sure you buy deals that make sense even with these higher interest rates. Now, I do believe there's some urgency to buy now because we know interest rates are going to get worse. And in my mind, if you need to place money this year, what's going to happen is interest rates are going to get worse, but it's going to take a while before anything too crazy happens because we have this whole supply-demand issue where there's just no supply. Now, you can use fear to your advantage to get a good deal and purchase it with crappy interest rates, but hopefully a decent deal for this market. But please, please, please don't lose your mind and spend money on a dumb deal with dumb interest rates. Anytime anything happens in the market, as long as you educate yourself on your worst case scenario and you use that current market to your advantage, you're going to be able to find great deals. One thing I would also say is there are always motivated sellers, and I actually just ran into one this week and closed on another property that I'm going to tell you about in the upcoming weeks that I'm extremely excited about. And the reason I bought real estate today and I will continue to buy real estate tomorrow is I'm very confident in using whatever the market gives me to get people to give me a deal that makes sense financially for me so that my bases are covered. So if it does pop, I'm pumped because I'll go and buy a bunch of real estate. If it doesn't pop, I'm still pumped because I'm still going to go and just work a little bit harder to find good deals so that if it ever does, I'm comfortable with it. If you're looking to place money and invest in real estate, just make sure it's a good deal and make sure you've taken into consideration the worst case scenario. Make sure you keep reserves and maybe even extra reserves so if anything does happen, you can jump on it. Or if it doesn't happen but there's a good deal, you can jump on it. Or if the worst case scenario happens and you need those reserves to protect yourself, you have them in place. And this should be your thought process with buying a home, with buying an investment property, but especially if you're a real estate investor, you've got to understand that change change is part of the market, and there's always a way to use it to your advantage. So even though all of this craziness has happened, lean into the fear that the Fed has given you, and I hope it helps you in hunting for deals. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell. And keep in mind that it's going to take a while for the market to respond. So if you're selling, don't give it away, but understand that the market will most likely adjust because of what the Fed is saying and doing. And as long as you understand this, it's not worth freaking out. Just settle in, look at your game plan, make sure that you've got all of the proper things in place to protect yourself, and you're gonna be good to go. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.